This is a part of a course where we learn Godot by making a 2D game, a vampire survival clone with a scalable architecture. Press like if it's been useful. In this part, we will create the base ground scene with real-time offset and add base level scene that will become a basis for our gameplay levels. First thing first, we created the gameplay UI scene in previous part. By accident, I created under the scripts folder in the gameplay folder. It's wrong. If you did the same, just grab the gameplay UI and put it here under the UI folder inside the gameplay, which is in the scenes. So again, it should be in scenes, gameplay, UI, and here should be the gameplay UI. Now, we talk about our ground, how it will work, it will be tiling and so on, how to create it. So let's make one. I already have the asset. You saw it in the previous part. And now create under the scenes gameplay, new folder, name it level assets. Here we will put all the assets, scenes we need for creating our levels. And there will be the ground. And we could have multiple grounds, I mean by type, not by texture, by some different feelings, maybe even logic, effects. So we'll have the base and we will probably inherit this one to create new other types of our ground or other variations, or we'll create new base types, but we'll start with the base. In this scene, the root node will be the canvas layer and set the layer to 0 because the default is 1. We want this ground to be below anything we have in our level scenes. Then create here control node, set it to use entire viewport, and create texture rect node inside it. I name it ground texture, and same, put it to use entire full rect. Okay, now let's put our ground texture. My sizes are bigger, much bigger than my viewport, so it doesn't matter. In our case, it should be bigger, I told you in previous part. But right now, in expand mode, we should use ignore size. Now it indeed took our full rect from our parent node. But also, in stretch mode, let's use tile. What it does. Right now, if I grab it and change the size, you can see it stretches. And it looks awful. But when you use tile, as I mentioned in previous part, it will be repeated. So it just clones the same texture again and again and again. Give me a second. Okay, here's the start of our image, and here you can see here's the new start. So the same image ends here and starts again over and over again. And you have like infinite background. Okay, let's set it again to full rect. But this is not over yet, because when our player will move, we need to somehow make an effect of movement, so our ground should also move. And how? We'll use shader to make an offset. So our ground will like move, but not the node itself, but the image inside this node. So the node will be sit right on the viewport, but the image inside will have the offset. You will see it in a few minutes. How we'll do that? Unfortunately, the Godot doesn't have those properties here. We don't have options to just tweak them on the texture node itself. So we'll use shaders, as I mentioned, create a new under the shaders folder, new shader, name it texture offset. And here's the code. We have two parameters, the camera position. This will be the offset. So when the camera position moves, we set it here, and our texture will make the offset, will move also. And scale. And all we do, we just update our UV. So we just update, recalc our texture. So node will be sitting here, but the texture inside will move. And now let's apply that to our node. Go to material, under the material, new shader material, open it under the shader and pick our texture offset. And here are our parameters. If we update scale, you will see it in real time, how it works. I will go maybe with 0.75, maybe. You can adjust it to whatever you like, but we won't see the camera position to work. Oh no, we see it. And that's odd, because it should not work like that, but okay, it worked. That's cool. So, okay, you could see how it works right in the editor when you moving around the values, but you should move them by a lot well, it depends on size of your image, but again, and it will be infinitely scrolled inside the node. So as you can see, the node itself stays in place, but the texture inside will have the offset by our player, and he will think like he is moving somewhere, but he doesn't. I mean, the ground won't move, but the effect will be like that. So we can test the offset right in the editor, but I will show you anyway how to test some parameters on your shaders when you can just tweak them in the editor and see them in the real time. Well, let's make the test scene base ground test. Don't create it from scratch, copy the main menu test from previous part. And what we need here, first, instantiate the ground scene, then add new canvas layer node and two new nodes, the horizontal and vertical slides. Well, adjust their sizes to whatever you would like. That doesn't matter too much, so keep them something around like you see them in my scene. And now we need to attach a new script to our test scene where we gonna get the texture our ground texture reference. Then we need two variables to remember the previous offset by x and y. In ready function, we read them once. So when you need to grab to get current values from your shader parameters, you take your node material, get shader parameter, and just what parameter you want to read and grab them. And from there, we read the x and y. Then in our nodes for our sliders, in our signals, we listen to this value changed in both. Just connect them to our script for vertical slide. When we will just grab this slide and change the value, we want to update our previous camera by y, by this value, and grab our node, again our ground texture, and set the shader parameter, camera position, and we want to use previous x and current, because current is for, in this case, for vertical slider, so it's second parameter. But again, camera position is a vector, so you, from these two variables, you should create the vector and pass it as one parameter. Same for horizontal slider, just value will be saved as previous camera x, and set shader parameter will pass first parameter's value, second as the previous y. Now, if we launch the scene, we can tweak the shader parameters at real time in real scene and see how they works. Well, again, with currently this example, this makes no sense, but any other shaders, when you want to see how the parameters will work with different values and so on, you want to tweak them, move, change, make some experiments, you do it like this. Create just a test scene, and to grab current values, get shader parameters, to set shader parameters, and you're ready to go. And again, in our game, our player is right in the middle, ground will be around but on the background, and when the player will move like to the right, our node stays in place, but the player will think like he's moving around a huge world with no seams. And again, why did we create the base ground? Why not just ground scene? And why it's even a scene? Why not just to instantiate those three nodes in our any level or base level scene? And that's it. Because this is a base ground where we have one texture and that's it. And it will suit some playing levels, maybe starting levels. But what if you want to have like two textures, one for the background and one more above, maybe same for the background, but with some different effect. Maybe, I don't know, some acids, some smokes, other stuff, and maybe it will move, maybe not, but again, it's part of your background. Well, at this point, you will have an option to go to each your level scene and adjust each ground texture structure, or just keep this as a base background, and when you need just a simple plain background with single texture, you will instantiate this one in your level. When you need something more difficult or different, you inherit it, so create a new scene, but based on this one, you're getting all of this, but also adding all additional stuff, effects you need. And you now can use both, because some levels will use this, some levels will use this, and so on. And don't forget, all of your backgrounds don't have to be based on this one. Let's say, I don't know, you have some background with plain color maybe. Well, that's how it should work in your scene. I don't know, maybe it's some dark world and you don't need this texture, or you don't want to have the black color as texture, whatever you want. Well, no worries, you just create other base, ground, call it whatever it should be, whatever it does, and create the structure you need there. And same, you can inherit it. So this gives you reusability. You don't need to create from scratch whatever you've done already. You can reuse it. And also can scale by making something not from scratch, but based on scenes you already have in your game. Our next step to create the base level or base level page. I mean, when the player picks in our menu to play, pick the level, so he moves to other scene, which will be the base level or any level. So any of our levels need initializer. Same thing we used already to test any stuff we create in our game. We have this one, dev up init. We need to initialize, I mean, our assets, load some assets, set our modules, and so on, so on, and so on. So we need to do the same, but in production, in our real level. So we will have this one, base gameplay init module. It will be used in each level to initialize our game, to set it up. Create it under the scripts, gameplay folder, create gameplay init folder, and here will be base gameplay init. The code you can see on your screen, you already know everything you will see here. It's almost the same like in our testings, just without a bunch of if statements, because we definitely know what's gonna be in our each level, or at least in our base level. While in our test scenes, every test scene has maybe some changes or different requirements. To create our base level page, go to Scenes, subfolder, Pages, and create their new folder, Level Pages. Here will be all our levels, and create the base level page scene. Inside it, we need to instantiate our gameplay UI. We already have it. We need to instantiate our player unit, camera edge pass, and that's it. Because as it is a base level, it should contain only stuff you certainly know, you're sure that will be used in all your inherited levels. So in each your level, like if you won't use the same player in each your level, so don't put it here, put it only in those levels that will be used. But in my case, I will use the same player, same scene in all of my levels. And you can see there is no ground because, as I told you, different level could use different ground scenes. Maybe the same scene is different settings, but again, maybe different. I'm not sure. That's why I'm not putting here my base background. Maybe I will use some more difficult inherited background from it. And we need to attach here to our root node also a script where we gonna have two reference to gameplay initializer, our base gameplay init. You already saw the script. And again, you don't see it here because not each level, maybe we use the base one. Maybe we will inherit it and adjust some initializing or any logic. So we use as a typing here the base. So any including the base, any inherited will suit here. But it doesn't mean each level will use only the base one. Maybe some different of them. And the level logic. This node will include all logic that needed in our level. I mean, when do we win, when do we lose, how many times for level, some other logic for spawning enemies, and so on and so on and so on. So what is different how in your levels? How do those levels work exactly? And in ready function, we'll get our gameplay init, call it connect to initialize, we'll wait till it's ready, and call init. When it's ready, we'll call init on our level logic. So we are sure we need to know that every our level logic will have such method and our gameplay init too. That's it. Our base level page is ready. The base level page scene will be spaces for the levels, as I told you. So when we will create a new levels, like level 1, or maybe level 2, maybe some special levels with some special rules, they all will be inherited, both from this base level, but we will set up for each one the level logic we need there. It's an external node that will set up all needed properties, all needed logic for our current level. So each of them will have the one it's needed. This gives a scalable architecture, so we can create as many levels as we need, but still have flexibility in how they look, how they work. Like the ground seen each one will have separately. They don't inherit it, but they do get the same player, the path that it is used for spawning our enemies, the UI, our core gameplay UI. So we don't need to set this to each our level. And again, we don't need to inherit all our levels from this base level. We can create another one if, I don't know, you don't want to use this UI in some special levels of this player, and create some different levels inherited from it. Or you also can inherit already existed levels, like you have some base level with timer, only 5 minutes for player to reach the goal. You can, if you need something similar, you don't need to again inherit from base level, copy everything from here to there. You can reuse existed logic. That is the power of inheritance, and create level based on other your level. But what you should never do or avoid, well, if you find yourself in a position when like you have a level, maybe some logic, and you want to reuse it, okay, because two levels use the similar rules, okay, no worries, no problems, it works. But you decided that this level like should have something different, like here was, I don't know, spawning enemies each some tick, maybe a second, 2 seconds. But here you want to spam different enemies for different ticks, like each 2 ticks one enemy and so on. So something slightly different, but different. And you start to adjust this script. You start to wrap your logic in many conditions, like if this is level 1 or some other param, you do this in your timer, else you do this. And when you start reusing this in other levels, you adding new conditions to make it work everywhere you use it. Don't do this, never do this. If you need it to be different, you should or create different scripts, different modules, and they will contain only needed logic, and it will be clear, understandable, and easy to maintain, and less bugs. Or use inheritance, but again, put in the base one only stuff that will be 100% used in all inheritance. So you could put all the base, but only the most base common logic in the base script, and make different subscripts inherited with all needed adjustments. But don't, please, never wrap everything in 100 conditions and trying to make it somehow work. No. Or make different scripts or inherit, but very carefully and plan it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this part, and see you in the next one.